So, hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are gonna be demonstrating Pianoteq 8. So, as you may or may not know, everything here except the drums and this little thing right here was made with Pianoteq 8, and I'm gonna get into it later. So, let's begin with what is Pianoteq 8. In case you do not know what Pianoteq 8 is, Pianoteq 8 is a physical modeling synth. Pretty much. Even though it's called Pianoteq, it can do much more than a piano. So what is physical modeling? Physical modeling is basically taking a lot of sine waves and modeling them to sound like real instruments. Like real resonance of bowing of a string, or a piano hammer, or a guitar, etc. There are not many synths on the market that can do stuff on the caliber of Pianoteq 8, which is kind of sad, but I will get to that later. So, in short, you could say it's a form of additive synthesis, but there is much more to it that I should not elaborate about. Right off the bat, when you open Pianoteq for the first time, you are greeted with this menu. There is not much to do here except you have these few menus, this microphone selection, volume, dynamics, some pedals, and velocity. Here is where the cool stuff begins. Once you open this thing, you are met with 3 different panels: tuning, voicing, and design. So let's start with voicings. Now here you are met with 3 different sliders, with each one giving you a control of the hardness of the piano depending on the velocity. So piano is for the lowest velocities, mezzo is for the middle velocities, forte is for the harder velocities, and I will be demonstrating it like that. So let's do the exact opposite of what a piano should do, which if you hit the piano very softly, it should be very soft. Now let's do it the opposite way. So here, as you can see here, I have 3 different velocities: the lowest, the middle, and the highest velocity. I set the dynamics off, so all of them will be on the same volume, and now let's see what it does. Makes no sense. Makes more sense. So this is just to get a sense of what Pianoteq is gonna sound like on different velocities, and this is what this menu is for. After that, you have Spectrum Profile. This is essentially your additive menu, where you control the harmonics, or the octaves in Pianoteq 8's case, of the sound. So let's bring up the second one. Do you hear that? The third? And let's do that. You see, these are overtones of the piano, which control the timbre of the piano. So if you turn all of these off, sounds very muted, and that's how you can get the different sound. And then you have a hammer noise, which is the noise of the hammer, which is pretty straightforward. Now, with hammer noise, it sounds more realistic. Strike point is the striking point of the string. Depending on where it strikes, it's gonna generate a different timbre. So as you can hear, it's quite different. And then you have the soft pedal, which is how much softness you want in your piano after you turn the soft pedal on. The design section is extremely important as well, as it controls the length and the texture of the sound in a sense, which I will demonstrate here. What string length does is basically it controls the inharmonics of the sound. So as you may know or may not know, the shorter the piano string, the more inharmonics there will be. The longer the string is, the less harmonics you will have. So the sympathetic resonance, what it does is it controls the resonance of the body of the piano. As you could hear, there is a very low rumble. I'm not sure what duplex scale does because I haven't found much of a use for it, but then you have the cool stuff. So you have energy and inertia. What energy has is it starts to cut off the lower harmonics at a rate. So what energy is doing is it's transferring the energy of the piano from the lower to the higher harmonics. So the higher it is, the more harmonics and the more energy you're gonna have in the high end. Inertia controls the time of the energy. Longer inertia, longer time it takes the energy. Shorter inertia, shorter time it takes to the energy to be transferred. That's pretty much all there is to the to the main elements of Pianoteq 8. And without further ado, let's move on to a different menu. Tuning. Now, tuning is cool. You have tuning in pretty much anything. You have micro tuning over here, which is pretty sick. as you can see, I can do stuff that I haven't messed with because I love how my piano sounds. I do not like microtones, but you can tell it's a pretty sophisticated menu, which I will not get into because not many people will use. Unison width is pretty much just what you think. So let's open a synth real quick, right? And let's have a saw wave. And let's detune it. The more detune, the more scrambled. It sounds like a beehive, you could say. Less detune, the more cohesive it sounds. Same here, same here. Direct sound duration is just as it says. As you can see, if it's set to 5, the sound sounds more in the background rather than in front of you. Let's get into the cool section, which is the microphone section. Let's open it up. And as you can see, you are greeted here with up to 5 different microphones, which you can choose the models, which have a different sound. And you can choose the loudness and the latency per microphone. You have 5 different outputs. It can get pretty complicated. If you want to make your piano as realistic as possible, you could mess with it. I do not want to mess with it since there is so much to it. But as you can see, you have a top view, front view. You can rotate your mics. Cool stuff. You can compensate for the delay of the microphone positions. If a microphone is very far away, the sound on that specific microphone is going to be delayed. You can make the sound more stereo, more mono, and you can adjust the speed of the sound, which you know what it does. Basically, it's just like a delay between the microphones. Then you have binaural, which is my favorite because it's the simplest one to use, and it's just like listening with headphones. And now my headphones are gone. I wonder how far you could push it. Really far. That's very interesting. But you guess the idea. Very convenient. Now here is where the cool stuff begins. When you right click a parameter, you can choose a few things. You can assign it to a MIDI, assign the value of it, pair note editing, which is pretty cool. And you also have humanize. Now what humanize does is it sets a range of which the hammer noise will be triggered when you are playing. So if you want it to sound extremely realistic, you would turn humanize on and set your specific range. Let's say like this. And now, as you can see, it will trigger the hammer noise on a random position depending on the blue range. And that's pretty much most of what there is to it to Pianoteq, at least what I would like to cover in this video, because Pianoteq goes much deeper than that. Now let's get into stuff I don't understand, which I kind of got an answer from Modartt themselves. I'm not really sure of what it does. You have morphing layers. So you could choose 2 presets. Let's take this melody. As you can see, you can morph, but between 50% and 49%, it seems to not morph much smoothly. It feels like there is almost like an entirely different engine for that sound. Now, I am not sure what causes this, but I would like to know what. Some presets morph fine, but some presets don't morph fine. Again, I do not know why. I would like a deeper explanation to it, since it's very interesting, and they've said that they're working on a solution, so we will just wait. Also, one more thing before I go into reviewing how I made this song is I would like to know if I can make my own engine of some sorts. Because, you know, if you choose a random preset, it looks different. The background looks different, the instrument looks different, and the sound as well. And it doesn't really make sense to me, like, over here, what is going on exactly. Maybe it's in these, but I'm not sure. I would like to know, because it would be cool to have community-made extensions for Pianoteq 8. It's a great market, to be honest. Yeah, now let's just get into the review. So let's start off with the bass. So it's pretty simple. Let's start by deactivating these plugins and just listen to the piano on its own. Also, I have a sub here because, come on, making a sub with a piano is quite time consuming. But piano itself, it's an electric piano with a filter on, some EQing, some distortion, another EQ, compression, saturation. Now I have a spectral effect here because I want it to sound dispersed, but in a spectral way, so it sounds kind of pre-shifted almost. Some EQ, sub, and of course make the bass mono because The lower instruments need to sound more mono, at least in my opinion. And here you have a glockenspiel. Glockenspiel. I'm not sure how I spell that. Here you have this piano, which is just the preset I chose. I compressed it a bit, made it more mono. Yep, pretty cool. Here I have a Celesta with a delay that is pitched to 12 semitones to make it sound more dreamy and shimmered. Sounds very dreamy. Here I have a harp, which is not much, just wide and some EQing. And then I have an harp, which is the main instrument here. So let's turn off these effects real quick. There is quite a bit of processing in that, but do not be scared, it's not as much as you would think. So here I chose a harpsichord, because they sound very harsh in a way. Saturation. Filtering. To make it sound more arpeggiated. Compression, of course. And what I did here is I put an envelope, an ADSR to control the volume of the piano. So pretty cool. I have more compression, smart compression, more compression, some EQing, and that's it. And the second layer is pretty much the same. Saturation, filtering, more compression. Same trick here with the volume, more compression. And that's what you get. Then you have an actual piano, which is not much. I just humanized the piano here. And I chose a felt piano because felt pianos sound absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And then you have Dune here, which is a support harp, because it needs to sound a bit electronic, and that's pretty much it. Also, I forgot to mention, there is the uplifter, which is just a very detuned Celesta with a frequency shifter. So as you can see, it's very basic. At first it might look intimidating while making a song out of just the Pianoteq 8, but it's fun. And that's it. Thank you, Modartt, so much for giving me this plugin. I really appreciate it. I've always loved it. I've always looked forward towards the physical modeling technology, and it seems like Modartt are extremely consistent. And yeah, that's all there is to say. And I hope you have a lovely day.